John Boyd Martin has been drawing people since he could hold a pencil. That's exactly what he told me. He did not initially go into portraiture work. He actually went into graphic design, which he studied, and eventually became an art director in advertising. But at 50 years old, he was, as he says, was born again and realized that his love of portraiture is what he really wanted to do with his life. In making that change over the last 24 years, he has become not just a master at his craft of painting and painting people, but he's become, in fact, world-renowned as a portraiture artist. There are not many people who do this anymore. Many people take photographs, many people might sketch or enjoy drawing, but to make a living drawing or painting at a world-class level is remarkable. Now, you may know or have seen some of his work. He's done over 1,200 commissions of portraits, many of those corporate commissions as well, members of boards or CEOs. Ed Whittaker, for example, the CEO of AT&T, he's now the CEO of General Motors, was one person he drew. General Richard Myers, Joint Chiefs of Staff, United States. William Lennox, Superintendent of West Point, many other military and corporate figures as well. He's also painted pictures of Ross Perot, Baseball Hall of Famer George Brett, our own brother Jack Nicklaus, brother Dean Smith, and actually that's a portrait that hangs at the chapter house, Pi Deuteron, at the University of Kansas. And of course our collection there at the end of famous Fijis, which he painted back in 1994. And was done through the Educational Foundation. It's a beautiful, beautiful poster. I hope you have one in your own chapter house. John is now ready to present new portraits of the Immortal Six. If you've been to headquarters and walked into the lobby, you've seen that we have a grandfather clock, and then to the left and right are the six founders, individual portraits. We're going to talk about those in just a minute and why we're replacing them with some new ones. I say we. Really, it's John. This is a gift from him, brothers, and you're about to see how remarkable a gift this really is. I'd like to ask John to please come up to the stage and join us. As John comes up to the stage, I'll hand you a microphone here too. I want to point out that he's also a Fiji sire. His son Jeff is a Kansas Phi Gamma. He also has a daughter, and his wife Bonnie is not with us here, but she is here this weekend. So if you see them, please be sure to say thank you.
Thank you, Tanner.
We're also, Ben Robinson and Bob Bainey are also coming up to help with the unveiling here. John, any initial words you want to say before we...
I think you summed it up pretty well. Of course, it's supposed to be well known that artists can't talk, you know. We just do. But no, believe me, it's an honor, indeed an honor to me to be in this position. To give me the opportunity to work with the folks at Phi Gamma Delta is very close in my heart through the years, and had this opportunity. I visited first time national headquarters about 15 years ago, and at the time Bud Mangles was director, and I told him after I viewed the paintings that were hanging on the walls there that I thought I'd take it upon myself to try to do a little better job I thought I could do than what was represented there at the headquarters. So, and I said, I want to do this as a gift to the fraternity. I felt very strongly about this, and as I found out through the years, I think some of the most important things that I've ever done in commissions are the ones that I did not get paid for ones that came from the heart and what I wanted to give to whatever organization it might be. The reward is, of course, as they say, priceless. And that's my initial remarks. But I'm just hoping, and I hope that you all get a chance to come up and take a closer look at them afterwards. And anyway, if there's any questions, or do you have any other questions? I don't know if anybody want to know about my background, really, as Towner so ably described. I don't know what anyone else might. Is there any Kansas Fijis here today? Hi there again, Kevin. Good to see you.
Apparently there's one. Come on, where are the rest of you?
It's better than none. But anyway, is there any other questions?
Well, I'd like to ask a couple. We're going to have a microphone available for some brothers in the audience to ask questions as well.
Okay.
And being the curator of archives, of course, I've spent a lot of time looking at the original pictures of the founders. And when I saw these the other night with you, I was just almost fell down with. They just capture the personality and the individuality of these men and perhaps their stature as well. Can you talk a little bit about how you capture some of, well, first off, their likenesses, but also how you sort of capture people when you paint?
Well, this assignment, of course, one of the things that I requested in doing this is to see if they couldn't find, some photography of all these gentlemen. Now, we're talking 1848. And that might have been a stretch, but they were able to come up, and that was the biggest challenge. If we could get some representation, some kind of, a photo of each of these individuals, then that gave me at least some groundwork to work from. And even though some of the reference were a little out of focus and in black and white, obviously, but it gave me enough, and that was the challenge, to try to convert that into color and into likeness. Now, there is some guesswork here on exact hair coloring and eye coloring and so on. But anyway, I feel confident from the photos that at least we had the likenesses of these people, and that's what and of course the goal of a portrait or as an artist to try to bring out a personality. Well, that helps if you first of all, if the person's alive, which I usually deal with when I do portrait sittings. But if you're dealing with a posthumous portrait, it becomes a special challenge. And I always liked special challenges, and this one was a unique one, to say the least. But so to try to bring these to life, and as much as I could from what we had to work with.
I believe we have a question from the audience.
Yes.
Jordan Joswick, chapter treasurer from Theta Tau, and I'd like to say thank you. They look great, but my question is, how long did it take you to do all those?
It's usually the question. I've been asked that many times. I'll put it this way. No, it took actually about a month. About a month. I did a huge project one time, and somebody asked me. That's always a question people ask, And it's a good question. But I've answered questions that before, like, well, in a big, huge project, I would say, well, when I began, I was 6'5" and had hair. but no, it was about a month. Anybody else?
Any other questions?
If you'll raise your hand, Ben Robinson will come over and.
Yes, sir. Who?
Ben's delivering the microphone there.
Well, you're right. You can't. Yeah.
Yeah. Ben also used to be 6'5", but then he started raising money for the foundation.
Max Reinhardt, Mu Iota, University of Idaho. I was wondering what medium you used with these. Is it
what medium?
Yeah.
Well, these are oil on linen, on canvas, and that's usually the medium that I work. The Fiji one that was done was actually in watercolor.
Oh, wow.
But normally I work, like I say, my main. Like I say, 95% of my work is portrait commission, oil on canvas.
They're beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Other questions from the audience there?
Yes, sir.
Gentleman up here on the front. Here, I'll give you.
Yeah.
You can just identify yourself first.
I'm Tyler Vines. I'm from College of Charleston. And,
yes, sir.
I just first want to say, being up here, I can see those are beautiful. Those are really just amazing. I can
Thank
really
you.
see all the colors and the textures and everything. My question to you is, you started kind of really pursuing your passion later into your life. What kind of challenges did you face as far as just becoming as successful as you are now, and just kind of advertising your work, and how do you get commissions? How do you rise to where you are now?
Well, I tell you, there is a great deal of patience, and it does take. There is a transition there that is fairly great, even though, and I started out as a graphic artist, keeping in mind that when I started, I always wanted to end up being a portrait painter. I loved drawing and doing people all my life. I sketched and drew, and I continued to do that. But that was the ultimate goal. But so finally, I took it upon myself that this is really what I wanted to do. I guess it's a stage in your life that, I was doing illustration, and I had an advertising agency, and I kind of got away from what I really wanted to do, and so I pursued this goal, and then they were giving seminars back east, and so I got involved with those, met a couple people that gave workshops, and went to the workshops for about 2 or 3 summers, well, 2 weeks each summer, but continued to work at that. You take a hit financially in the commitment, but then that's where you build what they call a portfolio. And then I presented my work in New York, and then I started I got a representative there. But that doesn't always mean that the next day they got a commission for you. So the transition is a pretty good jump. But you just keep working at it. It's like anything. If you pursue, if it's your passion, you'll find a way, and the way will find you. Does that answer your question? Yeah, thank you. Even though it doesn't matter what stage of life. So there's hope. If you come to a dead end in what you do, sometimes, in your 30, 40, whatever it might be, there's programs where you can go to get reevaluated and where you are in your career. I know I did one commission out in Carolina. There's a place called it's a place where they can go to restructure, or you can go to kind of get if you're want to become an executive. It's a program in leadership that they offer, and they do a panel of people like positions where they feel they've reached the end of their area of interest, and they don't know to get to the next step, and this helps them. Though there are programs like that. But the bottom line is that if you're committed and you have the passion, you'll find it.
John Kevin Mitchelson here, and I've of course been right over here. You can't see from up
Yeah.
there.
Oh yeah.
I don't think you really cannot see up there, but I just wanted to point out that this certainly is not your first service in your profession to the fraternity. The brothers of Pi Deuteron have been the benefit of John's work for years. We have portraits of each of the chapter houses that Pi Deuteron has occupied, including the beautiful house that burned in '67, and of course the portrait of Dean Smith that hangs in the house. We had a portrait of William Yost Morgan, who was one of the founders of our chapter, that was stolen in the early '80s. And
That's
John,
a compliment.
And John graciously even replaced that based on another one that was available to review. If you've ever been to the Adams Alumni Center at the University of Kansas, his work adorns the walls there and other places in the athletic facilities at KU. I wonder, John, you're too humble to say. Anybody who ever visited the NCAA headquarters when it was in Kansas City, John's murals were all across that facility, and I think there's some other fantastic things that and on behalf of Pi Deuteron anyway, John, I would say thank you for all you have done for our fraternity and for our chapter.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
I was just going to real quick, John, ask you. I mean, this is a tremendous gift to Phi Gamma Delta.
Yeah.
Again, one of many, as Kevin mentioned. I'm being a Kansas graduate from 1959. You knew a lot of great Phi Gammas back then. I mean, we were talked about brothers who were involved in the Olympics and things like that. What a great time to be a Phi Gam. Your son is a Phi Gam from Kansas as well. Can you tell us a little bit about your Fiji experience, both as an undergraduate and through the years as a graduate brother?
Well, undergraduate, I felt that our class, we had a wonderful class, I thought, of great individuals. And in the house, I thought that at that time we had some people that turned out to be some great leaders. I went through during the mid-'50s and late '50s. I know that's a long time ago. My gosh, that's a long time ago. But anyway, my experiences there, of course, being the only artist in the house, I had a lot of razzmatazz sometimes, but but also gave me a lot of times to do some things in the house, and had a lot of fun doing caricatures and drawings, and et cetera. So I did that on the side, but you know, the humor of it all was is I would walk up on the hill at Kansas, and believe it, people that haven't been to Kansas, there are hills there at KU. It will be attested if you haven't been there. But as I'm walking up the hill, the other guys would be carrying books, and I'm carrying my tackle box for lab, you know. But my experience there was wonderful. I transferred up there. I started at a small college, and came up there as a junior, and finished and was pledged during my junior year, but had 3 years at KU, and then afterwards, through the years, I've been called upon now and then to do some things for the Pi Deuteron, which John had elated to. But I always kept in touch with the fraternity, and then of course when we had the ecclesia in '94, then I got directly involved on a committee and working with that, and that got me really kind of reconnected. And then that way it led to working with Bud Mangles and that so on national, and then meeting Ben and so on. And so it's been a great relationship, at least for me.
Wow. Well, John, I want to thank you once again for coming this weekend, for spending the weekend with us.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, I'll take
And
it.
thank you.